Well, we missed you last week, but I have a feeling we're going to
Sorry
talk
for
about
that.
the same things this week than last week. Whoops. Okay, that was
Sorry for
interesting.
that.
I
For that sense.
have three things I want to talk to you about. Putin's birthday, which is next Friday. Our postcard, which I was just holding up. The ebook is released on Tuesday, October 4th. But really, the most important thing, and I just want to dive into it right now, is I don't know how to say this other than to say, what the, what the, do you want to kind of tell us how you see what's been happening in Russia since Putin's announcement of the mobilization?
Yeah, actually, yes, a lot of processes are going on, and that's actually making me pretty much inspired because I think that's actually Putin made just another mistake with the mobilization. It was an avoidable mistake because he's losing the war, so he's trying, to do whatever is possible to reverse the situation. So it was predictable, but nevertheless, it is a mistake because right now the Russian society started to move, and we are seeing this already in sociological polls that Putin's approvals are 10% down within 1 week. That's the level of social anxiety and disturbance significantly increased. People are afraid of everything. People are afraid of being mobilized. People are afraid of the nuclear war. People are afraid of economic uncertainty and what would happen throughout the winter time. So all the question marks with everyone, and that's good because that makes them if before they were thinking it's not their war and they were basically sitting on their couches and were looking at what's going on, like at the soccer match,
Yes.
watching on the television. Right now, they understand that it's something they have to participate in. And that relates to everyone, and that's a very positive thing. And especially this is um, happening in the Northern Caucasus. That's where our media holding played actually a key role. I'm not afraid to say this because right now we are the main protest resource on the Northern Caucasus, and our Telegram channel went in one night from 1,500 to 150,000 subscribers.
How are the
Just
servers?
yeah, just
How are the
yeah, just overnight, and that's because people are coming to the streets, and that's the first region where actually turned to be into street fights between the protesters and the police forces. Right now, the government kind of promised to say stop, please. We will sort it out with the mobilization campaign. Just keep quiet. But people gave an ultimatum to the authorities that they would wait until it's Muslim region, yeah. So that they wait until Friday's prayers, which are tomorrow, and if not, they would resume fighting. Obviously, that would not happen. We see that this whole thing triggered certain processes at the top in Kremlin, and they are going to introduce martial law in those regions tomorrow, most likely. It's not yet official, but that's what we hear. That it would be not a state of emergency, but a state of military situation, which was specifically for south of Russia, not for the rest of the territories, but for the south of Russia. That would include Northern Caucasus and neighboring regions, because they're very much afraid of what's going on.
Well, and of course, if you do, if you install martial law in one area, then everybody else in the country panics and thinks what's coming here next, I assume.
Yes, yeah, and there are a lot of processes which are very scary for the Kremlin. First of all, Mr. Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya, refused to conduct mobilization in his region,
Yeah.
which is very important. That's what everybody saw. That it appears that it may happen. That some leader of the regions just say, get lost. And that obviously inspires other North Caucasus regions to protest, because they see that the protest can actually lead
Yes.
to the suspension of the mobilization campaign. Secondly, there are tensions between the regions, and specifically between Chechnya and other regions. And in Dagestan right now, full of rumors that Chechen police would be relocated to Dagestan, calm people down. And Dagestanis, they were fighting Chechen invasion in the year of 2000. That was one of the processes that actually allowed Putin to come to power.
Yes.
And they do remember this. So the relationship between two regions are not, so good. And if that would actually happen, that would trigger another wave of protest. Then there is Islamic factor there, which is very important. So right now it's such a mesh of interconnected processes. So we are looking at the developments there. But actually, that's not the only region of Russia where these things may happen. Yakutia, for example, in eastern Siberia, is the region where something similar is happening just very far away, and that's why it's not visible on many radars. But something similar was going on in Buryatia, in Tыва, in some other national republics, Bashkiria. The situation is brewing up. So, summarizing, I was saying for a very long time, in our negotiations, that Putin has started the final countdown for himself on the 24th of February. But on the 20th of September, he sped up this clock, I don't know, tenfold. And that's why our book that we are publishing, Does Putin Have to Die, has a very special meaning at this moment, because now a lot of people in Russia are saying yes. Yes.
Will he make it to his 70th birthday in his position as president?
No, 70th, yes. 71st, I doubt.
Okay. All right. I have lots of questions for you. So first of all, and I think I'm speaking for everybody here, everything you just said sheds so much light on the situation there that we are not really able to get. We don't get the kind of information you just shared. So to us, it just looks like a mess. I mean, it is. I'm sure it is a mess, but it's a mess that's marching towards a goal, and all we see is the mess without the march. So one of my questions for you is, here in the West, and I include Europe in that, there's a lot of criticism of Russians in general for not protesting until now, so that it looks like their protests are to protect their own skin, not because they're opposed to the invasion of Ukraine. And obviously, even more criticism of the men who are fleeing for the borders. Do you actually see that what's happening there is positive movement towards the replacement of Putin?
No. To my mind, people who are fleeing Russia, they are defecting. And they are not taking part in the fight that they are obliged to be part of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying all the time. People tend to say that it's not our war. Like, we never voted for Putin, we never supported him, so we don't want to be part of this. But it's not true. If you have the passport of Russian Federation with this double-speared ego, then you are obliged to honor the constitution. You are obliged to defend it. You are obliged to protect your country. It's not your right to go to the rally or to the protest. It's your obligation to protect the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution. That's your citizen duty. And in this situation, when Putin usurped the power, you cannot just say, well, I'm out of politics. No, if you're out of politics, you are supporting Putin.
Hmm.
Because if your country turned to the fascist state and you are saying, I don't care, that means that you are helping fascism to survive. And I'm right now, I see the question where I am. I am right now in Montenegro. We have a meeting here of Russian cultural leaders. Here are currently our most famous musicians, writers, poets, artists, actors. And it's a traditional thing. It's been organized by our famous gallerist Marat Gelman, as I am part of board of trustees of this annual event, and we are actually discussing exactly this: where should the leaders of the culture be at this moment? Can they say that they are out of politics? Can they say that they support nobody in this war? Obviously, people who are here, they are sympathetic towards Ukraine, but most of them are not taking the fight. Nevertheless, they just say, yeah, yes, we don't like Putin at all. We never supported Putin, but it doesn't mean that we have to take the active part in the politics. And that's what I'm trying to say, that you cannot abstain. And that the mass media that still exist, the liberal journalists who are in exile, and they are saying, obviously, things against Putin, but at the same time, they're not calling for the open fight. Because they're saying, we're journalists, we shouldn't be part of political processes. We should be a mere observers. No, guys, in the situation of war, you cannot be the mere observers. That's why all the countries, even the most democratic countries on earth, when the war starts, they announce censorship in the media. And that even happened in the United States recently when there was a campaign in Iraq, for example. There was a censorship, the military censorship on the events. And that's not out of accident. That's not because, George W. Bush was an evil person, because that's what everybody do. Because in the situation of wars, you cannot allow yourself to have this third position. You are either on one side or on another side. And that's what still a lot of people in Russia, even the opposition, do not understand, that you have to take sides. And that's what I am fighting for at the moment, very actively.
In the Western experience, well, let me throw out a disclaimer to this question. Often when you and I have been chatting on WhatsApp late at night about, the contents of the book, or when we've been together, and I think even here a few times, I've said something and you've chuckled and said, well, you think that because you're in the West.
Mhm.
We
Right.
have a limited understanding of the world. So maybe this question comes from that place. I'm beginning to recognize
Not limited, just different.
it is what it is.
It's
You
different
know,
angle there.
Here in the West, we like things to look like a Hollywood movie, right? And so you have all these things going on in Russia, which you described, the defectors, some protests, the criticism from the West that you should have been protesting in the beginning. And here in the West, we want this to wrap up like a movie. We want Michael Douglas from The American President to go to the podium and make a speech, and everyone gets tears in their eyes. And even his biggest opponents, they fall in love with him, and everybody hugs and they march off to do the right thing.
Right.
Is that what's gonna
I
happen
would
here?
I would love to see the same thing. Yes. Arnold Schwarzenegger, playing Ilya Ponomarev with it. Yeah.
Arnold would be awesome. Arnold would be great. Um, I've met you. He might have to stop working out a little bit. You're not quite in the same condition as you. But my point is there is there going to be a way for you to rally your fellow Russians and get them all marching in the same direction to replace Putin and have a democratic country.
Look, the reality is that overwhelming majority of any population, Russian, American, Chinese, whatever, they're very passive and they will say docile, but they need to be led.
Mhm.
When they're asked, they can express their opinions, but even expressing their opinion, they usually would still, watch what the majority would say, so that their opinion would conform to the opinion of the society in general. And so that's a very well-known phenomenon among all sociologists. 80% of any population is like this.
Yeah.
That's why history has always been driven by the passionate minority. The important thing is that the minority should not dominate, and it should act in the interest of the majority. So this shouldn't be mistaken, as many of my neoliberal friends are usually saying, good reforms are unpopular reforms. Majority is always wrong. No,
Mhm.
I disagree that the majority is always wrong. I think you should always listen to majority, but majority can never formulate what wants. It has to be offered a choice between several opinions, and you have to tell people, this is the option, that is the option. Somebody needs to lead. The
Yeah.
leadership is what is most important. And right now, the leadership that Putin did show for many years, I wouldn't say that, he never did. He had his leadership position, but right now it wanes away. And we need others. And again, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to present the society with an alternative. Without an alternative, things would never change. And this alternative needs to be constructed, and that's what we are doing at this very moment. And we need to show people that it's not an imaginary, theoretical alternative, but practical alternative. I mean, with the force behind it. That's why we are talking about military regiments in Ukraine, and we are talking about the partisan movement, and because we need to show people that we have muscles.
I I think I read over the last week that there were some new warrants out for your arrest in Russia. Is that
Yes.
correct? And if it is that a sign that your work and your message is having an effect and you're creating more and more fear of you inside the Kremlin?
Yes, indeed. I had one criminal case against me when I voted against the annexation of Crimea. But in the last month, I had three new criminal cases against me.
Oh, don't we can't lose you now. This is too good. Oh, no, what a cliffhanger. Holy smokes. All right, I'm gonna fill time here until Ilya comes back. Um, wow, what a place to lose him. Um, so I was talking about these postcards. There's we sent the first batch out yesterday. Another 1,000 or 1,500 will go out today. We'll continue sending them until I'm going to try to reinvite Ilya. Hold on a sec here. Maybe he lost his internet. Let's see what happens here. All right, we'll see if Ilya can make it back. Anyway, there is a web page for the postcard. It looks like these, and really, well, first of all, the biggest thing you could do to help us right now is to share these postcards. Let me remind you that there's 5,000 birthday cards going to Vladimir Putin. You can click that link for a page on the website, and I really hope you will. Let me see if I can get Ilya back. There he is. All right.
Sometimes, yes, I'm from my phone, but sometimes people are, oh, no, first text, but people are calling and sometimes they're ruining the show. So what I was saying is that, these three new criminal cases, first of them were related to distributing fakes about Russian army, so read truth about what's going on in the front lines. But the third one was the most honorable criminal case because it was a criminal case against me being a terrorist and extremist. So I'm proud that they recognize me as the head of this military force.
Although, is it accurate to say that you're the head of it, or that's what they need to do to trump up a charge?
No, that's what they say. That's what they say. Yes, obviously, there's no heads actually. It's a very decentralized structure. So I mean, military regiment obviously in Ukraine has the military commanders, but they are apolitically just military commanders, and people in Russia, it's just a decentralized structure. So they selected me to be their public speaker and political coordinator. But obviously, I'm not the head of those organizations. I'm not part of those organizations.
These are the Russian national, the NR, the national. Oh, geez. All right. I think we're probably going to have to leave it there with Ilya. I'm going to try to invite him again, but let's see if he can make it on. He does have to leave right at 11:30, so he already warned me about that. So we may not see him again, but let's see if we can get him back. I'm going to keep talking. So as you'll recall, we're sending 5,000 birthday cards to Vladimir Putin, care of his best friend. I call him his BFF in the USA. That's Tucker Carlson. So these cards are going to Tucker Carlson. If you can see that, dear Tucker Carlson, President Vladimir Putin. I'm so bad with direction. Care of Tucker Carlson, Putin's BFF. Why Tucker Carlson? Well, if you watch the news or social media at all, oh, there he is. He's back again. Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question. You can answer it quickly, and then I'm going to let you go because I know that you've got another call. Are there things planned? Are you planning things? And are there things planned in Russia also around Putin's birthday? Is this going to be a big day for him, or is he going to try to ignore it?
No, he is celebrating in his inner circle. Obviously, because it's the rules of so-called court, like monarchic courts. Obviously, everybody is trying to please the boss and present him with something. And we see now the annexation of new lands, which to my mind is to a certain point linked to that date, and he is planning to speak on the Red Square tomorrow. It's already a scene which is being constructed there, but officially it's not.
Oh, okay, Ilya, we lost you. I'm going to let you go. I know you have. Look,
Other people are also trying to present him with something. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
We are also not sitting tight. We are also preparing certain surprises.
So stay tuned. The same bat time, same bat channel. I'm going to let you go. I know you have another call to make, so I'm going to pop you out. I'm going to keep talking, everybody. Thank you, Ilya. Before I let
Thank you very much,
go.
and sorry for the interruptions.
Yeah. It's great to see you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.